You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Thursday Night AngryMarks.com Pro Wrestling and Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie J. Two men are joining me on the line tonight, as well as our producer, Killick Kev, who will chime in from time to time. But let me start off by introducing my regular co-host, the one and only, the sensational, the spectacular Jordan Garber.
How is everyone doing tonight? Listening from around the world, it is great to be here on Thursday Night AMP once again.
And it's great to have you on. And everybody be sure to follow him at Jordan J. Garber if you aren't doing that already. But speaking of social media, I want to know how many different ways we can follow my resident New Japan recapper and Lucha Underground extraordinaire man himself, Jason Harland, a.k.a. The Great Sudoku. Tell people how they can follow you.
They can follow me. I've been posting the reviews for the New Japan Best of Super Juniors on my Twitter, which is at The Great Sudoku. You can see my reviews on AngryMarks.com for both New Japan and for Lucha Underground. And yeah, if you search Jason Harland on Facebook, you just might be able to find me too.
Perfect. Well, gentlemen, it has been a very busy week in the worlds of professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. We've got so much to talk about, so many things that are broken, so many issues to discuss. But before we get into the major news of the week, we're going to bust a cherry right away and talk about a little bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, Jason, fill everybody in on the Battle of the Super Juniors and what's going on there right now.
We've had 1 week go by in the Best of the Super Junior tournament. Let me start by running down Block A and Block B, giving the records that we have for each individual wrestler where they stand currently. Biggest surprise for me right now in Block A, Kyle O'Reilly is 3-0, 3 wins, 0 losses. He leads everybody. Block A, Block B, he is currently undefeated. Also in Block A, you have Barbaro Cavernario, who is 2-1. He's been a big surprise for me this tournament. He is saddled with a crappy gimmick, but boy, has he impressed me in this tournament. Block A, we also have Beretta, who is 1 win and 2 losses. Chase Owens, 1 win, 2 losses. Gato, 2 wins, 1 loss. Jushin Thunder Liger, 1 win, 2 losses. Ryusuke Taguchi, the funky weapon, the man who loves to ass bump. He is 2 wins and 1 losses. And rounding out Block A, the bottom feeder, Yohei Komatsu, 0-3. He is winless. One of 2 people in the tournament who is winless. David Finley, son of Fit Finley, El Hijo de Finley, is also winless at 0-3, starting off Block B. Something I found interesting, Alex Shelley so far has only had 1 match. He is 1-0. He is undefeated, but he's only 1-0.
Wait. According to my records, Alex Shelley is 1-6 because he forfeited all of the rest of the matches.
Oh, did he?
That's my understanding, is that his official record is 1-6 because all of his opponents advanced by forfeit.
So he is out of the tournament.
He is out.
That puts a damper on things for me.
Broken foot.
That would explain why he
continue.
said 1 match.
That's why he's only had 1.
Bobby Fish we have at 1-1. Kushida we have at 2-1. Mascara Dorado we have at 2-1. Nick Jackson, Biz Cliz we got at 1-2. Rocky Romero we have even split at 1-1. Tiger Mask 4 rounding things out at 2-1. So aside from your
said that Alex Shelley is 1-6, that means we've got at least 3 more days to go.
Yeah, and yeah, aside from like Yohei Komatsu and David Finley, yeah, there's some real parity, some closeness in the standings as it stands after 1 week here.
Yeah, who do you think's going to come out on top in the end?
That's a tough one. The way things are going now, Kyle O'Reilly looks unstoppable. I'd like to say Mascara Dorada. I'd like to see him win it. I don't think he's going to win it. Rocky Romero, I'd like to see win it. I don't think he's going to win it. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Kyle O'Reilly. I think he may win this one outright.
I think that's a safe bet at this point, given both his standings and his reputation, both in Japan and in the United States. He's one of those guys you just have to watch right now.
And yeah, on opening night, both he and Beretta just brought it. I mean, so far for me, that was the match of opening night, and that's also been the match of the entire tournament thus far. There was one point in the match where O'Reilly hit what I can only describe as a fisherman's exploder on Beretta. It's just this sick-looking suplex where he captured one of Beretta's legs and then just like T-boned him, Jun Akiyama style. It was just sick.
All right. It does sound sick, and I'm going to encourage everybody to go to New Japan World. I'm not caught up on the Battle of the Super Juniors yet, but I intend to be at some point here in the very near future. But that's why we have Jason here, because he's keeping up with it, even if we can't, because everything is hitting the fan in the world of professional wrestling right now. So I want to go ahead.
I had a question. Do you know the name of that spinning Fire Thunder Driver type move that Mascara Dorada does as his finisher?
I would have just called it the Spinning Fire Thunder Driver. I don't have a better name.
That's what I did and called it a day. I didn't know if it had some kind of Mexican Spanish name to it or what, the Flying Burrito of Death or something. But
well, Jordan is our resident internet expert, so if anybody can find it out, he will before the end of this show. But I think we have just a little bit of Lucha Underground news to touch on, and then we got to get to the news of the day. I know Jordan's chomping at the bit to do that.
I'm very excited to do that, but let's finish up New Japan Pro Wrestling. I want to get caught up on the best of the Super Juniors, so let's wrap that up, and we're going to talk about the current wrestling news right now.
All right. Well, what else is there to know about it, Jason, and what Lucha Underground notes do you have?
There was Chase Owens. I want to talk about him a little bit. There was a really stiff-looking package pile driver that he gave Beretta on the ring apron, which I haven't seen before in a match. And oh my goodness, Beretta barely got back into the ring at like 19 and a half on the ring count. And it's like, I haven't seen much from Chase Owens, but that really delivered for me. And something that I wanted to mention, that it seems like only in Japan is the only place left where the NWA moniker still has some street cred to it.
Yeah, well, it's been pretty well defended there, thanks to Bruce Pritchard representing as the NWA president and Rob Conway, his successful title defenses in Japan. It's pretty big there right now.
Yeah, there's some other things I had wanted to hit on in the New Japan Best of the Super Juniors. There's been a little bit of impersonation and mocking going on. There was a match where Nick Jackson actually went for the Stinger Splash, complete with the woo! He missed it, but he went for it.
That's the kind of stuff the Young Bucks do. That's like their trademark is to impersonate people.
And even Taguchi got into the match. He did the Shinsuke Nakamura backbend ring entry pose right before winning a match, and I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" But yeah, it's been entertaining, and like I said, the big surprise, I guess, to me has been Barbaro Cavernario. Watching him, kind of like a more athletic, more limber, more lucha version of Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yeah, I think that's what they were basically going for when they created the character in Mexico. And like you said, it may seem like a ridiculous gimmick, but since he can wrestle his ass off, it works.
You can. A couple of lowlights I wanted to hit on in the tournament. Kind of a downer on opening night. There were 3 submission wins in a row, and I know this is New Japan, and I know they like submissions, but in a junior heavyweight tournament, 1, it's like, oh, okay, that's novel. 2, it's like, really? And 3, on the third match in a row, it's like, come on, I want to see some lucha action here. So that was kind of a downer on opening night. And then the second night that they had the opening match, which was Gato versus Komatsu, I tried to get through this stinker of a match not once but twice. I ended up just fast forwarding to the end because it was so awful and so boring.
That's disappointing. Gato can usually get a good match out of an opponent, so I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, usually he can, but then again, Komatsu is 0-3, so there may be a rationale behind that.
Yeah, maybe they're just deciding he's the official jobber to the stars in this tournament.
That very well may be. But yeah, that said, it has been a very entertaining tournament. There's I think the next live event is the 30th that they're showing on New Japan World. The way they're running it now is that they're showing the matches from the day before, and they're showing it just on one hard cam view. There's no alternate cameras. It's just one camera angle, and it's all right. It is what it is, but I am enjoying the tournament.
All right. Well, that sounds like a pretty good summary of the New Japan action. Again, I would like to point out that Jason does these recaps on our website, so go to AngryMarks.com to read them. Follow him on Twitter at The Great Sudoku. And, of course, if you're not reading those recaps, tune in to Thursday Night AMP because we're having him on pretty much every week now while the tournament's going on to discuss it. And I think he's going to be regularly featured for the near foreseeable future because there's always going to be something going on in New Japan or Lucha Underground to talk about.
Indeed, indeed.
So, as I said before, if you have any Lucha Underground notes, I don't want to skip over it or gloss over it. I want to give you that chance.
That I put on the back burner while the New Japan tournament is going on. I'm not even going to get to Lucha Underground until tomorrow. So if anybody else wants to talk Lucha Underground, feel free. But for me, New Japan has taken precedent this week.
Well, that's fine. We can put it on the back burner for now because we've got news. We've got so much news. We've got the issue that has rocked the wrestling world this week. Ring of Honor moving to Destination America on Wednesday nights as the lead-in for Impact Wrestling. So let's go round table style and all discuss it. Jordan, I want to give you the floor first. Please take it away with your thoughts.
Well, first off, you look at TNA Wrestling, and they're already in deep water when they were with Destination America. And now they are canceled from Destination America in September. And now Ring of Honor is in the picture for the TNA's remaining 3 months. TNA looks like it's in big trouble right now. Financially, that's Eric Bischoff suing TNA. Jason, I think it was Hervey, he's suing TNA. Garrett Bischoff is suing TNA. And now Ring of Honor is on Destination America. I'm thinking that Ring of Honor may be the TNA of 2007, pretty much, because TNA right now is not what it used to be. And I've said this on many podcasts before. TNA is not what it was like in 2007. TNA was not what it's like in 2008 or 2009. It's slowly dying, and that's because of their financial issues. And like I said, it's just not the same as it used to be. And it's quite unfortunate because I used to be a fan of TNA, and I still am a fan of TNA. I just don't enjoy it the way I used to before. And seeing Ring of Honor on Destination America, this is a huge step for Ring of Honor, and that's even bigger trouble for TNA.
What's nice for Ring of Honor is that it's basically free money. It doesn't preempt them on Sinclair. It doesn't take them away from their ROHWrestling.com ringside members. It just adds another outlet to them. They're still going to be in all those other places, but now they get the extra benefit of being on Destination America, which gets them into TV markets that they weren't on in Sinclair. Where there wasn't a Sinclair broadcasting station, they're now going to be available on Destination America. And as I pointed out in the news updates, not everybody gets Destination America. Sometimes you have to pay a little extra for it to get it, but some people will probably be a little more motivated to get it now that there are 2 wrestling programs, at least for the time being. But as you pointed out, Jordan, this isn't necessarily good news for TNA because the cost to Destination America of Ring of Honor is significantly lower than the cost of Impact Wrestling. With Impact, they are basically bankrolling the entire production, the talent, the everything about it. But with Ring of Honor, they're just basically picking up a syndicated show. It's already been produced. It's in the can. They're just distributing it. So the cost is way lower than the cost of Impact Wrestling. And if it does as good as Impact or better, then it's going to be the death knell for Impact. Because why are they going to keep paying for that when they get something cheaper that does much better?
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. The wrestlers with TNA are not happy, and one of those wrestlers that is highlighted who is not happy with it, who is with TNA, is MVP. Now, he's doing a radio show right now as we speak, so he's with TNA right now, and he's doing a radio show, probably talking about the struggles of TNA. What is going on? There's a tweet I want to highlight, if I can just go through my notes here, and sure. It is pretty much, he says in a tweet, promoters, ... book me now, and he gives him his email address. MVP is one of those people that is not happy with TNA, and no one else from TNA was notified about Destination America. No one was about Ring of Honor coming to Destination America. That is another thing that TNA did wrong. TNA is in a lot of hot water right now, and some of that is themselves to blame.
Well, I've got some breaking news for you, Jordan. MVP has since clarified his remarks in a video podcast, and he said that his issue is not with TNA itself. His issue is with TNA not telling the talent this was going to happen. But my understanding from reading the Wrestling Observer newsletter is there was no way for TNA to tell the talent this. They were caught off guard as much as the talent was, because Destination America and Ring of Honor had been in negotiation quietly for months. There were only 2 or 3 people in Ring of Honor who even knew this was taking place, and nobody in TNA management knew this was taking place. So they got caught flat-footed. There's nothing they can do about it. They just have to hope. The one thing that could actually work out in their favor about this is if Ring of Honor turns out to be a great lead-in for Impact and the Impact audience grows as a result, they might change their minds about canceling. They have between now and September to change their minds. As of right now, according to the Wrestling Observer and according to the memos that have leaked out, it is canceled or not renewed or whatever semantics you want to use. But that could turn around if Ring of Honor actually brings their ratings up.
But let me show you something. If Ring of Honor was quietly in negotiations with Destination America, doesn't that mean that they want to compete with TNA and go head-to-head with TNA? Because they know that TNA is in a bad situation. They know that TNA is struggling right now. And Ring of Honor could easily sweep it up, and they can go on their own. And I think they're doing that quietly. People might think I'm wrong, but I think we might see another wrestling war here between TNA and Ring of Honor. And right now, Ring of Honor has the extinct advantage. Huge advantage for Ring of Honor.
I'm going to say that I can't see 2 programs on the same network directly competing with each other. But instead of you and I kicking that ball back and forth, I want to get Jason's opinion on this.
All right, yeah, the smartass in me, first off, just wants to say I wish Destination America was relevant, but, that being said, there was a time when the NHL was shown on a network known as the Outdoor Life Network, and that kind of took off for everybody involved there. Like you said, it's interesting how you say for Ring of Honor, it's a big plus to go on to Destination America, but for TNA, it's a death knell, and you kind of covered that a little bit. And I don't think you said it on a few dates behind the Sinclair show, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, exactly. They're going to get first run on Sinclair and for ROH ringside. So what's picked up on Destination America will be about 3 days later.
Which is nice. I think that's the way you want to do it. You don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to say, we're going to have this cable show. We're going to make that our flagship. They have an established product with Sinclair. They're running it that way. I think they're doing that right. I don't know if it's going to be a good lead-in for TNA. I think people might tune into ROH and say, wow, this is way better than TNA. TNA comes on, they watch it for a little bit and change the channel.
I think the thing that really strikes me about this is that we've gotten, again, the word has leaked out through various sources, mostly the Wrestling Observer, but there are some other reputable sites out there that have reported this. It is a problem for Destination America that nobody wants to advertise during Impact Wrestling. They have actually received orders to not place their ads. Like, if they have a time buy of advertising on Destination America, the advertisers specifically request that during the 2 hours of Impact, their ads not be run. It's hard to turn a profit on a show you're paying so much money for if you can't run any advertising on it. Whereas with Ring of Honor, again, the whole point of this is that it's very low cost because they're buying a program that's already produced and ready. They're not funding it. They're not basically making sure the product gets to air by providing the money for it. They're just picking it up and running a syndicated show. So if they get even half the advertising they get on Impact Wrestling, it's already more profitable. And they'll probably get more than half because Ring of Honor is a more respected product right now.
That's what I had wanted to chime in with to see if the advertisers are staying away from just wrestling in general or if they're just really disgusted with the product known as TNA.
I think there's a stink on TNA because of the way they left Spike TV, because of the fact they were lying about Vince Russo still being employed there, because of the fact that Spike TV wanted to publicly disassociate themselves from Impact. It was going to get picked up somewhere because it was going to give an audience for somebody, but it just doesn't seem like how do I put this? I'm trying to be nice about it because there's still a lot of great talent there, and they're still working really hard. And most often, Impact Wrestling is actually a good show on a week-to-week basis, but it's a tainted product now.
They burned too many bridges in the past, and it's catching up with them.
Indeed it is. So, Jordan, I'm going to kick it back to you. Do you think there's any chance? I mean, even like on a scale of 0 to 100%, what percent chance would you give that Impact Wrestling turns this into a positive and survives beyond September?
30%. I'm just going to say that right there.
That's about a 1 in 3 chance. That's reasonable.
Yeah, it's a 30% chance because they have made their mistakes in the past, but I feel that conflicts can be resolved. There's resolutions to everything. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to give it a 30% chance. But it's going to be difficult. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of effort to go beyond September. But there is still a small glimmer of hope for TNA.
Okay, well, I believe producer Kev wants to chime in on this as well. So, do you rate it higher or lower than Jordan does for their chances of surviving beyond September?
Because of this move, I am now going to give it a 50% chance. If you had asked me last week, I would have agreed with just about everybody that this was probably the death knell, at least on Destination America. I think Destination America made this move because they realized that Ring of Honor is a product that a lot of people actually do watch and will go out of their way to watch. So putting that in the first hour, I think they're hoping that the ROH crowd is going to flow over and watch it on Destination America and then stay for TNA because, hey, it's more wrestling. And because of that, TNA has an opportunity to really bust their ass in these next 3 months to keep producing a top quality show and keep dragging that audience over and keeping those numbers up and keeping those numbers up and showing that, this is still a good deal for Destination America. I understand what Destination America's issue is. And, it's several. And the main problem, I think, is because TNA really needed to scale down their production and they didn't. And that's kind of a problem. So this is now an expensive product for Destination America. TNA had an opportunity to start fresh. So scaling down that product and the amount of money that they're sinking into it, I don't think would have been a problem, but it's kind of a problem now since they went all in with it.
It is.
As far as the advertisers go, I don't think the advertisers necessarily see this as a tainted product. Advertisers are just looking at this purely from a number perspective. And if advertisers are saying, don't put our ads on during TNA, that's because TNA's audience is not buying their product. That's all advertisers care with. They don't care about how bad the show is. They don't care how good the show is. The only thing they care about is during those commercial breaks, is that influencing customers to go buy their product. And if that's not happening, then they don't want them on shows where the audience is actively tuning them out. They're getting a better deal on other shows. So that's what's happening there. If Ring of Honor can help bring that demographic in and start getting some buys, then that gives Destination America a little bit more ammo to go back to those advertisers that are holding out and say, hey, since we've revamped our lineup here, we're getting the advertisers that are with us have seen this bump in revenue. Give us another chance. So, overall, it's quite possible that this whole thing could yet be salvaged.
All right. Well, before I go to Jason and get his percentage on this, we've got Jordan with about a 1 in 3 chance, Kevin with about a 50-50 chance. I'll be somewhere in between the two of you at like 35 to 40% chance. But what I want to say before we go to Jason is the demographic has been a problem for Impact Wrestling since they debuted on Destination America. It tends to skew towards the older viewers. You're not getting the millennials. You're not getting the 18 to 39. You're getting like 55 and up. And I'm not sure exactly what the reason for that has been. Maybe that's just Destination America's audience in general. But now I want to go to Jason with his thoughts on, can they skew the demographic down with Ring of Honor, and what is his percentage chance they survive beyond September?
I'm going to lowball everybody, but not by much. You were saying a 1 in 3 chance, Jordan. I'm going to go with 1 in 4. I'm going to say 25%. The reason being is most of your ROH fans they're not what you would call casual fans. They are the hardcore marks. And I think there's a very small percentage of that hardcore mark population that likes ROH that is not in a Sinclair market, but is in a Destination America market. It's like the ROH marks are going to get their ROH from ROH Ringside or from the Sinclair show, and I don't know how interested they'll be in something they've seen already by the time it gets to Destination America. And that being said, after they've seen what they've already seen once from ROH, are they going to want to stick around and then watch Impact?
And on top of that, and this is something I can attest to personally from going to Ring of Honor tapings and Ring of Honor pay-per-views, the Ring of Honor audience, like the hardcore Ring of Honor fans, I don't know if there's even such a thing as a casual Ring of Honor fan, so maybe that's just a misnomer in itself, but hardcore Ring of Honor fans do not like TNA. Like, if a guy they associate with TNA goes to the independents and shows up on a Ring of Honor show, they will chant, "Fuck TNA! Fuck TNA!" They will chant it for like 5 minutes straight. I've been there, I've heard it, I've seen it. So this is not a group that's necessarily going to roll over easily into Impact.
Which will make it interesting to see how they welcome back Samoa Joe.
Well, that is actually the next issue I wanted to go to, Kevin, so thank you for a perfect segue. There is a problem right now with the fact that Samoa Joe has a freelance contract with WWE that lets him take independent bookings, but the way the contract is structured, it means that he's not supposed to appear on other television programs. It doesn't mean he can't work for other programs that have television. It just means he can't be on their TV shows. He was booked for a Ring of Honor TV taping on June 20th, and they may not have cared about that when Sinclair was just syndicated on their own channel, but now that they're on a cable channel, that may be out the window. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think most likely WWE will tell him no TV at all, and he'll be rescheduled for just arena only shows.
All right. Well, Jason, what do you think? Jason
disappeared on us. Let me get him.
I got a comment from him on the live feed here. He said that his live is silent.
Oh, so maybe he got disconnected and needs to call back in. Well, we'll wait.
Well,
yeah.
he's actually.
Yeah, I just saw
he calls back in.
He's calling back in now, but go ahead, Jordan, while he's getting back on the line.
That was normally the contract too, is if you're with TNA, or I think that was before TNA, is that you can do independent shows, but you cannot be on TV. I think since it's the WWE and since it's the largest wrestling company in the world, they're just going to be making Samoa Joe do house shows and arena shows.
I think that's only fair, actually. If they
find that fair.
Yeah, if they give him this open contract that lets him work indie dates but still keep his TV to NXT, then I've said this before, I'll say it again, it makes him worth more money on the indies because he can say he's an NXT superstar and not just a former TNA World Champion or the former Ring of Honor Champion, which are both great accomplishments in their own right. But now that he's on what is considered to be possibly the hottest product in wrestling right now, that makes him worth even more when he takes independent bookings. So it only benefits him, and he shouldn't bite the hand that feeds him. Jason, your thoughts?
We're talking about Samoa Joe and the NXT and indie bookings?
Right, and the fact that he was booked for the Ring of Honor TV taping on June 20th, but he may not be able to do that anymore now that ROH is on Destination America.
Ooh, yeah. Got the conflicting cable deals there. I do think it's a good thing that there is some flexibility, that WWE is allowing him to work the indie dates and to still appear on NXT. I can see that happening with NXT. If they want to bring him up to one of the other shows, I can see those indie bookings going bye-bye. But, as it stands now, like you're saying, it benefits Samoa Joe, but I also think it kind of benefits NXT in a way, too. It kind of raises Samoa Joe's stock in that you're seeing him here, but you may have also seen him compete, at your local indie show, too.
I think that's an interesting point that NXT could address and make part of their program and make viable, is that they're the top indie talent in the world, but they're not just in Florida at Full Sail University. If you can say to people Now, obviously, they're not going to open this up to everybody, and Samoa Joe may turn out to be the exception to the rule. But let's say they did open this up, and you could see Sami Zayn again at a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show. He wouldn't be called El Generico anymore, but he could come in there, and they'd be like, look, it's Sami Zayn from NXT. And everybody would go nuts, and they'd start chanting, ole, 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 ole. And then NXT could turn around and market that and be like, look, our stars are so big. Look at the reactions they're getting in other indies around the country. It could be a win-win if they were willing to do that.
It could, and yeah, I can see them using that in NXT for, booking and promotion purposes too. Just saying, he's been in Indianapolis, he's been in, Florida, he's been, in Oregon, he's been here, he's been there. You can say, he's wrestled all over the United States, he's beaten, the best that these promotions have to offer, and you can see him now in, NXT vying for the title too.
Now, that does raise the issue that some of the independent promotions might have with this, is that usually when you bring in a top guy, you want them to either be part of the long-term program for your company or to put over your guys and make them top guys. Now, if you're an NXT star and you're being told don't do jobs on the indies because it makes you look bad in NXT, then they're going to lose value to these promoters. They may not be able to go out and work indie dates anymore because they have to keep up a WWE standard of some sort.
They do, but I do think that just the name Samoa Joe would draw people to the indie show regardless. I don't think the promoter would be losing any money. I think you'd be making money from the added gate you get from Samoa Joe's name on the bill there.
Right now, everybody's making money. He was on NXT for 5 minutes for one night, and they sold out of his shirts on WWE Shop that night. They're not even restocking his shirts until June.
And that's smart.
That's smart because it's making people want the shirts more?
Exactly.
Supply and demand.
They could just keep printing them, but where Joe's not going to be there right now. What good does that do them when they finally get Joe full time and everybody's already bought a Samoa Joe shirt? That doesn't make them any extra money. They know the demand is there now. Hold off on it. When Joe finally shows up, that shit is going to fly off the shelves even faster. And they can jack the price up on it even more because people will want it that much more.
Well, he has shown up twice now. He's both times confronted Kevin Owens, and both times Kevin Owens has weaseled his way out of actually getting physical with him. So it's not as though he's not appearing. It's just they're letting it simmer to a slow boil.
Good, and they should, because there's plenty enough stuff going on in NXT for Kevin Owens to take care of. You don't need to immediately go into a Joe feud.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because just a little bit ago I was listening to our friend Alfred Konowa's podcast, Big Nasty himself, and he had Kevin Owens on as a guest, and he pointed out that Kevin Owens has 5 different feuds going on all at once. It's a little astounding when you say that, but he's successfully pulling it off, and he's even feuding with John Cena going into Elimination Chamber this Sunday. Is he stretching himself too thin, Kev, or do you think that's working for him?
I'd say it's working for him right now, but I just read a rumor that said Kevin Owens is scheduled to appear on Monday Night Raw every week until the end of August.
Wow. Okay, what's your source on that? Where'd that one come from?
From WrestlingRumors.net. So I'm not.
Yeah, that's not necessarily credible.
I didn't say it was credible. I just said it was a rumor, and I'm sure it's a rumor that a lot of people have been taking. And personally, I think that's a bit much, but maybe with the fact that Rusev just got injured this past Tuesday, maybe there is a little space there for Kevin Owens and for a big nasty heel to be able to step up in that.
Well, speaking of Rusev's injury, that's another good segue because this is slightly more credible than a Rumors with a Z type website. We're actually getting this from PW Insider and Wrestling Observer and various sources like that he's not going to be in the Elimination Chamber this Sunday. I don't mean the chamber match itself. I mean the show itself. He's not going to be in the show because of his injury, and it's looking like Bray Wyatt is going to take his place. Your thoughts, Kev, and then I'll get everybody else's.
Sounds all right to me. I don't have any real thoughts on it, so.
All right. Well, then, Jason, your thoughts.
Shinsuke Nakamura is the king of strong style.
I meant your thoughts on Bray Wyatt taking Rusev's place.
That was my thoughts on it.
All right, then. Jordan, over to you.
Quite unfortunate to see Rusev out for a bit. The question that we're all going to ask is how long will he be gone for? But for Bray Wyatt to take Rusev's spot, it should be very interesting. It should be good to see him in the chamber.
Indeed. Well, maybe that's just a good time to segue to our preview of the Elimination Chamber. I was going to say it's exclusive to WWE Network, but it's just come out today that if you live overseas, internationally, you don't have the network and can't get it any other way, it will be available on pay-per-view outside of the United States. So it's no longer exclusive to the WWE Network.
Good move.
I think so. I think that's beneficial to WWE and beneficial to the fans as well. So it's a win-win all around. But let's run down this card and figure out what's going to happen where, how it's going to all play out. And we'll see if Jordan wins the prediction game again, because he's doing better than me in most cases. So I'm going to start with Neville versus Bo Dallas. Probably the least important match of this show, but we might as well get it out of the way now. I say Neville is going to win with a red arrow. Jason, your thoughts, and don't just say that Nakamura is the king of strong style.
Whew. I'll go opposite that. I'll go with Bo Dallas.
Really? You actually think you believe in this?
I don't believe in it. I just think he's going to win.
Okay. Well, Jordan, your thoughts on this match?
Bo Dallas came out of nowhere. He just came back, I think, from an injury. Adrian Neville's on a roll right now. I think it's Adrian Neville's time. He's going to win this match against Bo Dallas at Elimination Chamber.
All right. Kev, do you want to chime in on this one too?
I'm going to go with Bo Dallas on this one. I'm not a believer either, but they got to do something to rehab this character, and this is a great opportunity. They can play off a feud that went over very well on NXT, and a loss here for Neville, I don't think is going to hurt him.
All right, I guess that's a 50-50 split for the panel, and that's not what I was expecting, but hey, expect the unexpected on Thursday Night AMP. So we'll move on from that to Nikki Bella defending her Divas Championship versus Paige and Naomi in a triple threat match. I'm going to make my prediction last. I'm going to Jordan first.
Naomi, it has the advantage right now. She just became a heel diva. She has this new attitude. It's Naomi's time. She will be the winner of this match, hopefully, against Paige and Nikki Bella. My prediction is Naomi to win.
All right, Kevin, your turn.
I don't really have a favorite here. I think any one of these three could come out the winner. I don't think it would be a bad thing if Nikki Bella continues to hold on to that title. I don't think it's a bad thing if somebody else gets to hold it for 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, you got to make a prediction. You can't just say I like everybody.
I can too. And matter of fact, you could always they could always at the last minute throw in Sasha Banks and have her run in and completely clean everybody's house, and it becomes a no contest.
Well, if that's your prediction, I'll accept it.
No, I'll say Nikki Bella retains. But if anything else happens, I'm not surprised either.
All right. Well, Jason, you're up to bat since I said I'm going last.
It's a three-way match and anything can go, but I'm going to follow Killer Kev's lead, and I'm going to say Nikki Bella retains the championship in this match.
I will reluctantly say Nikki Bella retains because I could care less about her. I want her off my TV. I'd be happy if she went away and never came back, but I don't think they've given Naomi enough of a chase yet. I think she's got to continue to feud with Nikki Bella for a little bit longer before taking that belt. So reluctantly, I will pick Nikki. And from there, we move on to Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose for the World Heavyweight title. It's probably the main event, but I'm just going up the card in the order I have it listed and cut and paste. So let's see if Rollins is going to defend successfully, or if Ambrose, by hook or crook, can be the unstable champion of WWE. Kevin, you go first.
Ambrose gets screwed yet again. Rollins goes over.
I'm really not surprised you would say that. It's pretty much my thoughts as well. Ambrose will probably get a visual pin, though. I will give him that much, but somehow J&J Security and or Kane will ruin his night and not allow him to get the actual pinfall.
He'll get the pin, but the referee will be pulled out of position, knocked out, or whatever. Schmoz ensues.
Exactly what I mean when I say visual pin. The crowd will be counting to 3, but the ref won't. So, Jordan, your thoughts?
Seth Rollins had the title. He won it at WrestleMania. This was Elimination Chamber. It's not a major pay-per-view. Seth Rollins is going to retain.
I have a feeling Jason will probably concur.
Yeah, when you're playing roulette, you always bet on Black. In this case, Tyler Black, also known as Seth Rollins.
All right. Well, we'll move on from that to the man who is one of the features of our show tonight that we've been talking about, Kevin Owens, facing John Cena. Now, the sheet that I have in front of me says it's for the United States title, but I thought this was a non-title match. Kevin, am I wrong about that?
Last I heard, it was a non-titles match. Looking at your favorite source for wrestling news confirmations, Wikipedia, it says it's just a singles match as well.
Okay, well then I'm going to assume it's a non-title match, which gives Kevin Owens, no pun intended, a fighting chance of winning. Jordan, what do you think?
Kevin Owens has a shot at winning. This is going to be, I always do this in the prediction game. I do a long shot pick. Kevin Owens is going to defeat John Cena. That's my prediction.
Well, since it's apparently non-title, I will actually go with Kevin Owens as well. Jason, what about you?
If it is in fact non-title, I'll go with Kevin Owens. If it turns out to be a title match, yeah, I would like to see Kevin Owens win the championship, but there's no way that Cena's going to put him over at this point.
No, and it would be really weird for him to hold the NXT title and the United States title anyway. So if it is a title match, I will say no, but I'll stand by it if it's non-title. Kevin?
Well, I went my prediction for NXT TakeOver. If Kevin Owens was still the NXT champion coming out of that, he was not going to be holding a United States title as well. My prediction on this is John Cena wins by countout because Kevin Owens is going to clean his clock. But of course, Cena's always going to kick out at 2. The second Cena starts to get ahead in this match, Owens pulls himself out and says, I've already proven everything I wanted to. I'm done for the night. Fuck you. I'm gone.
That's a very Kevin Owens thing to do. So
exactly.
That would not shock me one bit. In fact, I think I might actually pop for that. Normally, I don't like a schmoz finish like that, but since that's in his character, I would applaud it. I would be happy for it.
Well, see, this would be Kevin Owens teaching John Cena a veteran move.
Can I tell you just honestly, I want to break away from our predictions and talking about this pay-per-view for a moment. That was one of my favorite parts of the John Cena Kevin Owens confrontation when they did it the first time on Raw, when Cena said, let me give you some veteran advice, and Kevin Owens shut him up and said, you don't get to give me veteran advice. I've been in this business longer than you. And it's true. Even when a heel says something factually true, that just makes him a heel even more for pointing it out. And I was so in love with him for pointing it out.
It was refreshing.
It was. It was totally refreshing. Which is more than I can say for the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match, which in my opinion is just a huge cluster. The New Day. 2 of these 3 men will be defending the titles, and in the ring, one of these other teams will start. And then in the pods, 2 men in a pod will be either the Lucha Dragons or Tyson Kidd and Cesaro or the Primetime Players or the Ascension or Los Matadores. 4 of those teams have to squeeze themselves into a pod. Jason, oh man, take it away here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just going out on a limb here. I think Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are going to be the new WWE Tag Team Champions. I don't know which one of them is going to do it. I'd like to see Sin, Hunico, Caro, and Kalisto win, but I don't think there's any way in hell that's happening. I think Tyson Kidd and Cesaro is the safer pick.
You know, the dark horse favorite here would actually be the Primetime Players for me, because Darren Young has been really pushing his videos, A Day in the Life of Darren Young, and Titus O'Neil just won that Dad of the Year award. There would be a lot of good publicity for WWE if they actually were able to capitalize and beat the New Day. But as I said, I don't think that's likely to happen. I would mark for it, but I actually don't even think the titles are going to change hands here. Despite the clustery nature of this match as a whole, I think somehow the New Day hold on to it. Just because they're a 3-man team, they can always count on the 3rd man to do something to help them win. So, Jordan, your thoughts?
The New Day is going to win this match. They've only had the title for 32 days, over 32 days. I don't see them losing it anytime soon. My prediction actually is that they're going to hold it till SummerSlam. So the New Day is going to win this match.
All right, Kevin, you get to bat last here.
Millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. Primetime players all the way here.
Wow, I didn't think you would actually go with my idea for that.
Yeah, I pretty much got talked into it thanks to our great friends over on the Raw Reaction. Vic and Tenzai are very excited about what's going on with the primetime players right now, and they think they're going to be passed off the ball here.
They're also very excited about LonelyVirgil.com.
Indeed.
I think that was like half of the show is just discussing all the different scummy ways that Virgil tricks promoters into booking him for events.
It's almost. I can't hate him.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, at some level, you gotta respect Virgil's ability as a hustler. Just the fact that it's complete bald-faced bullshit, and he gets away with it over and over again by telling people, hey, you can get Ted DiBiase and Virgil for your convention. Oh, sorry, Ted had another date, and he can't make it, but I'm still coming. What a con job. He's like the ultimate carny.
Yeah, if you really wanted to fix this, you need to get the Scooby-Doo kids involved.
Yeah, they'll solve this mystery.
If not for those meddling kids, I would have gotten away with it all.
Yeah. Oh, the story that absolutely cracked me up was when Tensai told about how this guy brought an $800 replica of the $1 Million Man belt to a convention to have Ted DiBiase sign it. And Virgil asked to see it, and he brought it over so he could take a look at it, and he immediately grabbed a marker and started signing it. Like, no, I didn't ask you to sign that. You just ruined it.
If Virgil ever did that to me, I would go all Ronda Rousey on him immediately. Of course, realize that Virgil's probably holding out his arm, and I'm hanging upside down like a wombat at that point. But
you guys got to remember, Virgil did win the $1 Million Championship at one time.
That's true, but that doesn't mean you can just sign your name to it without being asked.
Yeah, I think if I was getting a $1 Million title signed, I would just have Ted DiBiase sign it instead of Virgil. I'll just have him sign it because he originated the belt.
Well, that's what he did. He took it to another convention, and he had DiBiase sign it, and then showed up at this other convention with it, and Virgil just damn practically snatched it, and then demanded $50 for his signature.
Like I said, Virgil is the ultimate con man.
That's balls.
It takes balls to do that. Yes, it does. But it also takes balls to discuss this one match that we haven't discussed yet, because I believe there's a very famous drop circulating around the internet right now of Ryback saying if he had balls, he would have hit him with them by now. It makes absolutely no sense, but then a lot of Ryback's promos never made any sense. He's in this match with Sheamus and R-Truth and King Barrett and Rusev and Dolph Ziggler. They are all vying for the vacant Intercontinental title. Jason, take it away. Who wins the IC strap?
Well, it's definitely not going to be R-Truth. I can eliminate him right off the bat. I'm going to go with Ryback on this one.
Well, he does seem to have some kind of momentum right now. They're letting him cut all the babyface promos. They're giving him the big wins on television. It feels like it could be him, but I would say because King Barrett has been losing so much on television lately, it's the usual reverse WWE booking of make him look bad on TV and then put him over big at the pay-per-view. So I'm going to go with King Barrett. Jordan, your thoughts?
Sheamus will win this title just because he has a momentum. He has this new gimmick. He debuted over a month ago, and I think it is Sheamus' time to become WWE Intercontinental Champion. I can just picture it or him over everybody else.
Well, Kevin, do you agree with any of us, or are you going out on a limb and picking somebody different?
I'm going to say that it should be Ryback because he's the one I think that would benefit most from this. He's the only one that's not had a title run. Everybody else has had title runs. Everybody else is pretty much okay. But I think that they're going to end up doing it on Sheamus for exactly the reason Jordan said. He's got this new gimmick. They're trying to put him over hard as a heel. And you put the title on him, then that just gives more reason for Ryback to chase him.
All right. You've made a compelling argument, but before we wrap it up or go to the second hour, if everybody wants to do an overrun, you guys can do that on your own because I'll have to jet. But I want to just briefly touch on something I saw in the chat room just now. And somebody thought we were being disrespectful to Virgil. Kevin, Were we being disrespectful by saying he is the ultimate carny? I actually think that was a measure of admiration for the man.
You know what? It is disrespectful, but I'll be perfectly honest. Virgil has become a very disrespectful individual. He's very rude. He's very shallow. I think he's really insecure about his place in wrestling, and I think he really overestimates himself. I mean, I'm not a Virgil fan, but you know, my comments just now, yeah, there's a little bit of admiration for just how much of a dick he is.
I'd like to chime in on that too, because Virgil's actually from around where I live in Pittsburgh, and yeah, he has a reputation for going to wrestling events that he was not booked for, or autograph signings that he was not there to be. He crashes them, sets up his own table, sets up his own autograph booth, and that's just the reputation that he gets. And you know, you put that out there, that's what he does, and it may make him come off like an asshole, but hey, you know, if it looks like an asshole and smells like an asshole, maybe it is an asshole.
All right, well, I'm not justifying anything that he did or saying that anything he does is good. I think I actually admire the chutzpah. I would not want him to do that. If I was running a wrestling convention, I wouldn't want him to show up uninvited and set up a table and charge for autographs. I would probably ask him to leave. But just the sheer chutzpah and moxie of it, I think I actually do respect that a little, because you really got to have brass cojones to just show up uninvited and do your own thing.
Here's the thing about Virgil, is that I respect Virgil. And I made a post earlier today regarding that, is that I respect any wrestler in this business that is legitimately a wrestler. And Virgil is one of them. But when you take a personal item that you have valued as a fan, and he just grabs it out of your hands and signs it, and then charges you for money, that is disrespectful to the fans that are paying to go to the conventions, that are paying to watch these wrestlers bust their ass. You just don't grab a card out of a fan's hand and just sign it and say, $30 now. No. I think I respect Virgil, but I don't respect the things he does sometimes, pretty much.
I think that's fair. So, gentlemen, is there going to be an overrun, or are we going to wrap it up at the top of the hour here?
I don't really have anything else. I wanted to comment briefly on the Lucha Libre World Tournament, just to give the results on that.
Sure, go ahead, Kev.
Just to run it down here, AAA put on the tournament this past weekend. It was also heavily promoted by Jeff Jarrett and Global Force Wrestling. Just to run down this tournament, it's a trios team of wrestlers representing All Japan Pro Wrestling. You have Kenzo Suzuki, Tiger Mask 3, and Masamune. For Team Noah, you had Ishimori and Yoshihiro Takema and Kodaje. For Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground, you had Moose, ACH, and Brian Cage. Also representing Lucha Underground along with TNA, you had Matt Hardy, Mr. Anderson, and Johnny Mundo. For Team Mex Leondas, you had Blue Demon Jr., Dr. Wagner Jr., and El Solar. For Team AAA, you had El Hijo de Fatisma, El Texano Jr., and Psycho Clown. For the rest
Hang on, Kev. I should point out that El Hijo de Fantasma is King Cuerno in Lucha Underground. Now please continue.
Okay. I didn't see that, so I didn't know. You had Team Rest of the World, which was Drew Galloway, Angelico, and El Messiah. And the Dream Team, El Alberto Patron, Miz Tiez, which many would recognize as the former Mystico / Sin Cara, and Rey Mysterio Jr.
And the winner of the Lucha World Cup was...
Running it all down, it came down to the Dream Team versus Team TNA Lucha Underground, and it was Rey Mysterio Jr. picking up the pinfall for Dream Team.
With a 619 and a West Coast pop?
I believe so.
Why am I not surprised? Jason, any thoughts on the Lucha Libre World Cup? Did you see it at all? Did you know about it?
I heard about it. I didn't watch it. Hearing about the teams that are winning it, I'd like to catch it. One name notably absent that I wish would have been in it, because he's great in trios matches, great in singles matches, is Pentagon Jr. It's conspicuous by his absence there, but yeah, it sounds like a stack card, something I'd like to catch.
I believe it was available on internet pay-per-view luchaworldcup.com for $19. I may have that URL wrong, but it was something pretty close to that. So if you Google it, you can probably go there and watch a video-on-demand replay. Jordan, any thoughts on it before we wrap up?
No, pretty much. I thought that was a really cool tournament, and I actually did not get a chance to watch it, but once it's available on the internet, I cannot wait to watch it. It should be good to see.
All right. Well, I think that makes it time for cheap plugs. Kevin, what do you have to sell?
I have nothing to sell. Thanks for listening to Thursday Night AMP, and thank for your continued patronage and listening to our audience.
Excellent. Jason, anything you want to shill before we get off the air?
Shinsuke Nakamura is the king of strong style.
How did I know you were going to say that? You know, if we ever do get around to making AngryMarks.com t-shirts, that's going to be your t-shirt. Is Shinsuke Nakamura is the king of strong style.
Awesome.
All right. Jordan, what do you want on your t-shirt? What are you plugging?
Well, I have a t-shirt that says keep calm and stay solid, and everyone should keep calm and stay solid, of course. I have a lot of shows coming up, so I'm going to keep it simple. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. I have my new Facebook page up as well. It's actually old, but it's revamped. I'm working on it. It's facebook.com/Jordan J. Garber. So like that Facebook page, follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber, and I can't wait to be back next week. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. We'll run down what happened at Elimination Chamber next week, and we'll bring you all the news in the world of professional wrestling and whatever there is in mixed martial arts to talk about that's breaking as we do the show. And speaking of breaking, after this show goes off the air, check out AngryMarks.com for a Daniel Cormier video of him marking out at WrestleMania 31 when Seth Rollins won the title. And I do mean marking out. It's really fun to watch the current world light heavyweight champion of UFC going nuts for a WWE main event. And that's one of the reasons I like Daniel Cormier. He loves pro wrestling. And we love pro wrestling. We may be Angry Marks, but we're still Marks. So thank you for listening to Thursday Night AMP. For the producer, Killer Kev, for my co-hosts, Jordan Garber and Jason Harland, and for myself, Stevie J. Good night, everyone.